Welcome back to the studio. If you're new, I'm SLEW. So I've been wanting to start a large-scale painting for a while now and didn't really know what that was gonna be. So I was endlessly scrolling through Instagram one day and I stumbled across this amazing artist, Paul Reed. He does amazing oil paintings, often representing the Minotaur, which is a mythological creature. I'm a huge fan of Greek and Roman mythology, and I thought, wow, this is a perfect idea to represent a mythological creature. You know, as I sat for quite a few months lingering, I thought it would be even more dramatic on a large-scale oil painting to represent a female Minotaur. You know, I went online and bought a really awesome mask, a super high-quality handmade cosplay bullhead in real life for the intention of staging a photo for reference. I then asked my friend Allie if she wanted model for this project. You know, I had a pretty good idea of the composition of this painting because I was pretty much basing it off of this amazing canvas that I've had for over 18 months just sitting in the corner. It was made by Canva Aesthetics, who's amazing. This wonderful circle canvas that I've been saving for a large-scale project like this. So going into the photo shoot, I knew I wanted some sort of sitting or crouching pose rather than standing. I had no idea what I wanted for the lighting, for the body language, and you know, unfortunately I can't really show much of this photo shoot due to the nudity, but we took a couple hundred photos in a bunch of different poses, different lighting. I then picked my favorite kind of like 4 or 5 photos in the poses I liked and began to Photoshop certain aspects to make the photo and the reference I wanted to paint exactly what I wanted. And now you're pretty much caught up with why and how I got the Minotaur reference. Allie absolutely killed it. The photo reference we got is just magical, I think. I couldn't help myself but do a charcoal study of it really quick. You know, I think this photo, it's like, it makes you uncomfortable at first. It's raw and delicate. You know, it's also stoic at the same time. It's very jarring, but you know, the hand poses are just absolutely beautiful, I think. And overall, just amazing, the lighting and all. So I'm super happy with it. I think it's time to start putting it on the canvas. And everything is set up with my little mini projector. Now, there's a lot of drama around projectors. Smo Nova and Andrew Tischler have great videos on YouTube. They're amazing artists who talk about a projector is a tool for an artist to execute a job super efficiently and optimized. So I could place this image I have of the Minotaur girl on there with a grid, and I could grid it out and sketch it out, and it would take 2-3 hours. I could do it and make it as precise as possible, or I could just use this projector, square it up perfectly with my circle, and trace it in 20 minutes. Can't see it because of all the lights, but I'll show you. It's lined up with this jank doll setup, but it's good to go, and I'm really excited to finally see something on this sexy old canvas. Are you tired of using Photoshop for your mockups and wish there was an all-in-one tool to digitally showcase your work? I felt the same way. That's why I now use Canvy. Canvy is an online resource to help you showcase your work beautifully. With over 500 rooms to mix and match your environment, Canvy generates professional-looking mockups in just seconds. Painters and designers, you will never have to fumble around on a photo editing software again. With over 70,000 users and free to use, Canvy will change how people see your work. So I made that commercial for Canvy about 3 months ago, and since then I've been in constant contact with the team, the founder, and the team members, and I'm really excited to say that I'm now partnering with Canvy as a brand ambassador. Everyone over there at Canvy, it's a small group, a lot of them that live in Denmark, and they're just really an authentic group that are really trying to make awesome tools to help artists like myself. And the tools they offer on Canvy.com are just like the best. So you're gonna be hearing about them a lot in the foreseeable future from me. You know, the first 500 people who click the link in the description are going to get 30 days free when they sign up for Canvy. It's just great. Again, I have nothing but good things to say, and I'm so excited to sort of be on the Canvy team now. Back to painting. I've been procrastinating starting this painting for like many months. I've never procrastinated more, honestly. I think I'm just nervous. Finally, we're ready. The setup is complete. I've also added some amazing camera angles. The painting palette, also that I just built from another video, finally complete. Cue the cinematic sequence. So my intention with this project was to paint in a way I'd never had painted before. You know, I obviously wanted to execute a large oil painting, but I also wanted to challenge and experiment with this whole system within the project. You know, I've truly never painted with this sort of premeditated amount of layers. So my strategy is the 3-layer system, and that's pretty simple and rational. It's nothing new. Thousands of artists use these layered techniques when they're painting sort of larger scale oil paintings. Some use 4 layers, some use way more, but within each layer of paint, there's a goal. My plan was 3, and we're working on the first one, which you could label as the underpainting, and the goal of the underpainting is just to get a good amount of paint on the canvas while sort of simply representing the form with only a few values. And I've never committed to this sort of more strict way of painting. I've seen artists do it online, but I've never really done it. So I was super nervous to jump in, but also really excited at the same time. So I waited about 3 days before the first layer of oil paint was touch dry before starting the second layer. This layer brings in way more color and obviously more detail. And we could label this second layer as the quote-unquote first painting. I actually stole that from Cesar Santos, who's an absolutely incredible painter. He has videos on YouTube. He also kind of teaches, and he uses this system sort of. I think he uses more 4 layers, but you know, he is a traditionally taught. He talks about the underpainting and the first painting, so I just call this the first painting. And it looks like I'm just completely covering the underpainting, and that is true, but I'm building off the structure and form that is already there. You know, every layer in this system informs the next, and that would remain true even if there was 10 layers. I again have never done this system before, but I was trying to hold myself to a super high standard while painting, which we all should do, right? To improve and to make something awesome. But what I mean specifically is to be super slow and patient. It's really easy for me, at least, to get into a flow and then not take my time, and then the quality sort of drops. Again, that's just for me and what happens. But this was my first time, so I was not as comfortable in the whole system and how I should do things, how slow I should go, and how much light I should bring, you know, how detailed I should get in this quote-unquote first painting, how much rendering I should do. But I basically played it by ear and just try to get the entire second layer as consistent with color and value and detail. You know, I knew I had to leave myself obvious things to complete in the third and sort of final layer. But a lot of work in this layer, and you know, happy with where we're at now. After getting this far into the painting, I realized that this high chroma mint background color was just not it. And in fact, it was awful. And I just could not continue without changing it. Welcome. We're finishing the painting up. This is like the last stage, the last layer, the last sort of phase, which is mostly highlights. You can kind of see with this 360 camera, this crazy setup, we're all good. But if you could see in the original picture, maybe not even the camera, like there's a lot of brightness here, but there's even brighter spots, you know, on the mask. The sun or the light is obviously coming in way from up here. And so kind of like hitting all of this, it's a lot lighter. The shoulder, the breast, the hand needs to be rendered more. Some of the light parts, I really want to emphasize those, and there's just places obviously that need to be cleaned up. So this is like highlight, light layer, and also clean up stage. But it's very close to the end and I'm really digging it. Let's continue. So what I'm doing here is actually really important. It's called oiling out. This canvas is touch dried for like 3-4 days, and when oil paint dries, it desaturates and fades. So to go back into it with oily colors, you know, there will be a sort of a separation of what the color actually looks like. So you just put a thin layer of oil to bring back the color, and you could see it more in the shadows. It's just a very little amount of linseed oil, less than you think, and I'm using a sable brush to just mix it around to kind of get that color back. Also, it helps the oil paint slide a little smoother for this last layer. But I feel like, you know, painting is just one giant game of compare and contrasting. You know, it's really important for me in these projects to be super critical with every decision I make when painting, and it doesn't need to be like super self-deprecating and mega serious within each individual stroke. But, you know, for me, I really have to be observant and consistently debate myself about the choices I make during the process, you know, especially if I have a goal and agenda and I want that to, you know, I want that to be successful. But again, just being objective with each mixture of color and stroke of paint, it's important for me just to be objectively critical. And that's especially when you're painting naturalistically, right? Like we're trying to represent the human form, make it look like a human being. You know, human anatomy is so hard, and I'm far from being well versed in it. It's super hard, and it's extremely difficult, and that's why I wanted to prepare and be thoughtful with executing this painting and be critical throughout the whole process. You know, the Minotaur head almost looks like a separate painting completely, and I was afraid that it would look like out of place and ununified sitting on top of the body, but I think, you know, there's good continuity between the body and the Minotaur, and the head really does look like it's sitting on this delicate girl's body. So I'm pretty happy with how that all turned out. And so that's the project that took probably about 3 weeks to paint full time. This video took 2 weeks to edit, a big one. I'm really curious to see, you know, what other creatures or mythological characters you would want me to paint. So go to the comments and type in the next mythological creature should be, and then what you think. I'm curious, because I already have plans of doing more of these. I've already done a photo shoot for another project like this. I'm really into these cosplay photo shoots and then getting photo reference. You should also like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe, because there's nothing but more of this coming. Really awesome projects that I'm spending a lot more time on. It really gets me excited and amped to kind of pursue these, you know, kind of weird fantastical things. For example, this one, you know, it was just something in my head that I thought of a Minotaur, you know, with a nude female painting. I just thought it was awesome. And I'm just super glad that I like went through with it, even though it was over like a year from the photo shoot, or from the inception of my desire to do this, the photo shoot, and then I waited like 2-3 months, and then it was just a long process. But hopefully my turnaround will be better for the coming projects, which I'm really amped about. This is like one of my biggest oil paintings in terms of taking it seriously. I'd like to rant a lot, obviously, in these videos, but it's not perfect. I'm not some master painter. I just love to learn, and I feel like putting the scale, heightening the scale of projects allows me to be ambitious, but also learn through that sort of ambitious process regardless of this. You You know, I say this a lot, and again, I just don't want to sound like some motivational speaker, but you know, this painting is successful because I stuck it out through the end. I saw it through. These are ridiculous. I think that itself is success. You know, there's a lot, I mean, that I could fix with this. The foot is kind of just outrageously, the foot doesn't look right. There's other things, but overall, I'm really happy with it, and I spent a lot of time. So, I don't know, rant over. Too many glasses. Whoa.